What if a climate event thousands of miles away could change Jamaica's food prices, tourism earnings, and even electricity costs? That's exactly what could happen if a powerful El Niño develops later this year. El Niño is a climate pattern that begins in the Pacific Ocean. It happens when ocean waters in the central and eastern Pacific become unusually warm. This warming disrupts normal wind patterns and shifts weather systems around the world. Even though it starts far from the Caribbean, Jamaica can feel the effects in major ways. Forecasters are currently monitoring the possibility of a strong or even super El Niño forming later this year. If that happens, several of Jamaica's biggest industries could feel the impact. First, let's look at what typically happens in Jamaica during an El Niño year. The country usually experiences hotter temperatures, less rainfall, and longer dry periods. At the same time, El Niño tends to reduce hurricane activity in the Atlantic because stronger upper-level winds can break apart developing storms before they strengthen. Now here's where the economic effects begin. One of the industries most exposed to these changes is agriculture. Jamaica's farmers depend heavily on rainfall, especially for crops like vegetables, yams, coffee, and sugarcane. When El Niño brings prolonged dry spells, crops can suffer. Lower rainfall can reduce harvests, increase irrigation costs, and push food prices higher across the island. Small farmers are often hit the hardest because many do not have large irrigation systems to protect their crops during drought conditions. But agriculture isn't the only sector affected. Water supply can also come under pressure. Lower rainfall means reservoirs and water catchment systems may not refill as quickly. That can create challenges for the National Water Commission and businesses that rely on steady water supply, including manufacturing and food processing. Energy is another area where El Niño can have a major effect. Hotter temperatures typically lead to higher electricity demand. Homes, offices, hotels, and shopping centers all increase their use of air conditioning and cooling systems during heat waves. This pushes electricity consumption higher across the country and places additional pressure on Jamaica's power grid. However, El Niño does bring one possible economic advantage. Historically, El Niño years tend to produce fewer hurricanes in the Atlantic. Stronger upper-level winds can disrupt storm development before they become major hurricanes. For Jamaica's tourism industry, that can be a positive. Tourism is the country's largest foreign exchange earner, and a quieter hurricane season can mean fewer travel disruptions. Flights, cruise ships, and hotel operations are less likely to face cancellations caused by major storms. Construction projects can also benefit, since fewer hurricanes mean fewer weather delays and less storm-related damage to infrastructure. But there are still trade-offs. Higher temperatures can make outdoor activities less comfortable for visitors, especially during the hottest months. Hotels and resorts may also face higher electricity costs as they increase cooling to keep guests comfortable. Looking ahead, one important question is how Jamaica prepares for climate events like this. El Niño highlights the importance of better water management, climate-resilient farming, and energy efficiency. Countries that invest in these systems are better positioned to handle both drought and extreme weather. If a strong El Niño does develop this year, it won't just be a weather story. It could affect food supply, energy demand, tourism stability, and business costs across the country. Because sometimes the biggest forces shaking an economy start far beyond its borders. And that's today's Business Shaker.